Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Well, I've been off of here for a week and I've missed everybody. I had so many irons in the fire, so many things going on that I just couldn't get on here and make a video. I had to really put my head down and pay attention to what was going on around here with, being late, getting the garden in. That had to be a priority, getting all of that taken care of. Then the hay came off all at the same time. Both sources that we get our hay from are both the exact same time. We're cutting and baling. I've been notified that it's ready, and now we've got to get that moved off. But I'm thankful that we've got some good hay to put up for our cattle. The biggest slam, I guess, or the biggest thing that happened this week was one of my freezers went out. Now, thankfully, it wasn't the freezer that has meat in it. It was the freezer that I've have shared with y'all in the past, where I put baking mixes and things, because I have some things frozen. I have some things in sealed and in jars up on the shelf. So I've got multiple ways of storing them. And so the things that I lost in that freezer, the things that I actually had to throw away, were very minimum. I had some squash and some okra. I had some berries. I had some things that were a loss, but not anything that it would have been had it been one of my big meat freezers that were full of meat. And so we're thankful that that we've made it through that. I've got all of that stuff taken care of. I haven't purchased a new freezer yet. That was an upright freezer, and I'm considering getting a chest freezer, moving the meat and all of that kind of stuff around. But we have so many things going on as well. You guys know this is garden season, and things have to be looked at and readjusted so that we've got time to not just harvest, but to put things up, and whether we freeze it or can it or dehydrate it or freeze dry it if you have a freeze dryer. And so we're all busy. At the end of this week, we've got little Rowdy's baby shower is Saturday, and so we're in high gear preparing for that. We have family here visiting, and so I've had lots of things going on, but I've missed being with you guys, and I just thought I'd get on here and have our little Tuesday night talk and spend some time with my friends. Now, no doubt you guys have seen all the stuff that's going on in the country, and all of the debate and all of the riots and all of the screaming back and forth and all of the things that are going on. And it really makes you want to pull your family closer together and really concentrate on taking care of them and making sure that they're okay and that you're well supplied so that you can look after your family and your household. This evening, I thought we'd take a little time to talk about who is our own. If we're taking care of our own, looking well to the ways of our household and taking care of our own, who are we talking about? Who is our own? Well, most of us would say that for sure our family is our own, taking care of our own household. Who is it part of our household? Yes, our responsibility is to take care of those and to look well to them and to make sure that their needs are met. And that's a big responsibility, and today it's getting harder and harder to meet because food prices are up and prices of all goods are up. We've got one baby in our household, another baby will be here in September, and so we have diapers and formula and all of the things that go along with having babies. They're precious. Here comes the train. So besides our family, those that live with us and those that live around us and those that are maybe not too distant away that we can actually look after and make sure that we're all well taken care of, our church family really plays an important part in our lives as well. We go and visit one another when we're in the hospital, and we have words of encouragement and kindness to offer to one another. The church ladies will usually get together when someone's had a baby or someone's had surgery or something's going on, and they'll plan to have a week of meals prepared and taken to their home, so that's something that one less concern that they have to have. Perhaps when they're out and about shopping and they run into a bargain. Sometimes that's hard to find these days, but they run into a bargain, and maybe it's something that you don't need in your family anymore. You don't have little children, your children are grown, but you run into a really good deal and you think about somebody that's in your church or in your community that can need it. In fact, we just had a call today from one of our church sisters, and we were out working in the garden, and I was dirty. You can tell my apron is dirty. But I was out in the garden working and got this call, and it was one of our dear church sisters, and she said, "Hey, down at Harps," that's our local grocery store, she said, "My sister-in-law is down there, and they have their Pampers on sale for $3 a package," which is crazy. All of you mamas and grandmas out there know that $3 is an amazing price for Pampers. And I don't know why, if they were going to change out brands, or they just, for whatever reason, they were $3 a package for these diapers. And she said, "If you'll go now, there are, my sister-in-law has 2 packages holding for you, but there's more to go through." So we were blessed. We went right down there, and on the way down, I happened to look down at my hands, and I felt so bad. I had dirt all over my hands and under my nails, and I kind of put my hands behind my back, and Cheyenne said, "Well, don't do that." Said, "You look sillier that way than just having dirty hands." So we went down there and went really quickly into the store, and was able to get those diapers that she held for us, and we picked up a few more things, and we count that a blessing, not only because the Lord blessed us with getting those diapers. Now, they weren't Howie's size of diapers, but little Rowdy will be able to use them very quickly after he's born, because they were size 1s and size 2s, and we feel blessed that God absolutely blessed us with that. But he also blessed us with a church friend and her relative that went out of their way to do something kind and to take care of their own. Now, some people would say that sounds like a selfish statement, taking care of your own. But when you stop and think about what the Bible says, and Jesus actually says, "Who is your neighbor?" Well, everyone around you is your neighbor. And so if we take care of our own, and we've got kindness and compassion in our hearts, then we're looking well to others that are around us that have a need. Maybe we ran into a super fabulous deal on some kind of canned goods, and we really have enough stock ourselves, but it was a really good deal, and you purchased it, and maybe you take it to your local food bank. Well, technically, those people aren't your neighbors. They're not your own, but taking care of those around you in your community is another way to show God's love, to show your love to individuals. It's a lot easier to tell people that you love them when you're trying to help meet their needs than patting them on the back and saying, "Well, you be all right." Now, we've been blessed beyond measure. I think sometimes people raise an eyebrow when I say that, because I've had some struggles. I've had some real struggles. After I lost Howie, I went through and still go through grieving. There's times when things get really tough financially. People don't like to share that. But sometimes the going gets rough, not just for me, but others as well. But I can still sit here and say that I am blessed beyond measure. My needs have been met. I'm not without a home. My needs are met, and I'm happy. And I'm looking well to the ways of my household. I'm putting things back. Cheyenne and I are working hard to can and to preserve. And the garden is coming on. There were several times in my lifetime that I can look back and I can remember people looking well to my family, going beyond what was under their roof and the 4 walls of their home, and reaching out to my family. In the 4th grade, our house burned down. And it was really by a miracle that my mom was able to get all of us kids out. I was the oldest, and my youngest brother at that particular time was just a little baby. And she managed to get all of us out. She tried to get back in, but the door from the heat and the smoke and whatever swelled shut, and she could not get in. That was a blessing from the Lord, because no doubt some of us kids probably would have tried to follow her in, and it could have been tragic for all of us. But the people rallied around us, not just the people that lived next door to us, not just the people that were our family members, but I can remember people just coming out of the woodwork and blessing us. And my step grannies had a back bedroom, her sewing room, and it was full of clothing and household goods that it took them quite a little bit of time to go through and to match sizes to kids, and whatever wouldn't work for the family, we passed it on to others to be able to use. We were blessed. Even though we went through something tragic in losing our house, we were blessed beyond measure. People showed their love and their kindness to us, and that happened several times throughout my growing up years. We had it rough, and I can remember a time in particular when it was around a holiday. I really can't remember if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, but it was looking kind of slim as far as having a nice dinner. In fact, I believe that my mom was sick. She suffered from migraines and would be sick in bed for days at a time. And I was young and was trying my best to cook and to do things that I was just learning to do. And a church, one of the churches there in the little community that we lived in at the time, what they did was had a fellowship dinner, and then all of the things that was left from the fellowship dinner, they brought us leftovers, yes, but those leftovers were a blessing to us. And people snub up their nose at leftovers. Howie was not one to really like leftovers. One thing that he really would eat leftovers of was beans, and he made a stew that he called Coon Hunter's Mulligan, and he would eat that until it was gone, and he would eat beans, but he didn't really care for leftovers that much. But that church, even though they brought in pies that had 1 or 2 slices out of it, and they brought in partial turkey and part of a ham, oh my goodness, to us kids it was a feast. We were blessed by that. I think sometimes in today's time, in today's society, we would think, oh, we can't take leftovers to them. Or we might be on the other end, on the receiving end, and say, I don't want your leftovers. But times are getting rougher, and there are people that are really in need. It doesn't seem like it should be that way in this country, but it's a fact. You probably know people that are beginning to really hurt. Their pocketbook is running dry. Their belt is as tight as it can go, and their budget's as stretched as far as they'll be stretched. And they're having it rough. And we need to get back to a place where we say, we're not going to be prideful. We're going to give or we're going to receive. Both of them is a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to give. It's also a blessing to receive that, whether it's leftovers, some hand-me-down clothes, whatever it may be, looking well to our households, looking well, taking care of those that are around us. You never know where your source of help is going to come from. I can remember when I was in junior high, I loved my home economics teacher, and also was one of her teacher's aides. And one day we were discussing, she'd asked me some questions about home, and she found out that my stepdad was off working. I don't remember where he was at. I don't even remember the length of time that he was gone, but it was quite a little time. And during that time, my mom had been scheduled to get her teeth pulled and to get dentures. She had some kind of problems, and she was losing her teeth at a very early age in her 30s. And so she was sick. Girls, quit it. She was sick and in bed, and it was up to me to come home from school, look after my brothers and my sister. My oldest brother next to me was taking care of some of the chores, and we were having to fix meals, and I didn't, it was a very limited amount of things that I knew how to fix. And my teacher, bless her heart, she put together a care package, not just for the children, things that were easy for me to be able to make. But she went and made a care package for my mama, and she put in foods that would be easy, not just for me to make for mama, but for her to eat. I thought that was a very kind thing to do for her, to, go out of her way to make sure that not just the children were taken care of, but my mama during this time. She was taking care of her own. We weren't blood relation. I was one of her students, but she reached out through love and took care of her own. I was always amazed at my granny, because it never mattered who walked through her door. She always had something to feed them, and she could always stretch a meal. She knew how to do it, and it's important for us to know how to do that as well. That's why I say that when you fix meals and you're having people in, I don't ever remember them having a meal that there wasn't some kind of bread on the table, bread or biscuits or cornbread. Her cornbread was awesome. She had those things. She had relishes and pickles and beets and okra. And I try to do those same thing, onions, to stretch the meal, because she never wanted anybody to come in and be hungry and not have something to eat. Now, you didn't always get a T-bone steak or a full-on meal, but she'd have bacon on the back of the stove, or she'd have something that you could make you take a biscuit and some take a biscuit and some bacon and make you a little sandwich. She always had something, and she was blessed that way, and she blessed many others, and was a true testimony to the love of God. Now, I think it's important this day and age for us to be prepared, because we don't know who's going to put their feet under our table. It makes me think of Old Yeller. We watched it over the weekend, and while the husband was away, the neighbor man came in, and he was just an old mooch, and he brought his daughter with him, and he came right around supper time and kind of hinted around and hem-hawed until she had to fix him a meal. And boy, he just gobbled up all of her food, and he had that big pile of corn cobs laid there by his plate, and he wiped his hands on her tablecloth, and I thought, oh my, but she fed him, and my granny would have fed him. And I think that we'll probably have to, no doubt, sometime let people have their feet under our tables eating our meals, if we truly show the love of Jesus. Of course, that takes a little bit of preparation. First of all, I think that we have to love others to be able to do those kind of things, to be willing to feed those that wasn't out in our garden helping us bring in a harvest. Taking food to the food pantry just to give to people that we may never even know, and for sure probably will never know the impact of how we helped them. It may be that we load people up with groceries, and we don't always have to say, look what our family's doing. In fact, I think you'll get a better blessing if maybe when you go to church, you just sneak a bag of groceries in somebody's car. Or we have a little table out in front of our church, and we usually take eggs or produce, and others do as well. And we just leave it there on the table. And then people can take, if they need it or want it, they can take it. And it's just a blessing to be able to do that for others. We're trying our best to take care of those around us, take care of our own. And it's more than just those that are under our roof. Sometimes I get up in the garden and I'm working, I'm hot and sweaty, and I'm thinking about all the hard work that I'm doing, and I throw myself a little pity party, and the very first thing I think about is that story about the little red hen, how she was doing all these things and there wasn't anybody there helping her, but they sure did want to eat the bread at the end. Well, I have to change my attitude, and I have to say, I can't do that. Yes, I'm doing all this work. I'm blessed, but I want to be a lover of others. I want to show the love of Jesus. And when he was preaching and he was showing his kindness in his ministry, remember the little boy? His mama packed his lunch, the bread and the fish. She used what she had. to feed her little boy. She was looking well to the ways of her household. Never, ever would she have imagined that she was looking well for over 5,000 that was going to be fed that day through a miracle of Jesus. She just prepared a little simple meal for her son. And Jesus took what she had to offer, that little boy's sack lunch. And he divided it. He blessed it, performed a miracle. All those people were fed, and even took up leftovers. Now, those are some leftovers I bet you wouldn't have turned aside and said, I don't like leftovers. Pretty big fish dinner that they got to have that day, all because somebody was willing to take care of their own. Well, guys, I hope this made sense to you. It's what's on my heart. I see that people are beginning to really suffer a little bit. You know, we've been preaching a long time, teaching a long time about storing things up, get stuff prepared. It might be getting kind of hairy. We're seeing it now begin to play out. We're seeing people really struggle. You can watch them in the grocery stores as they stand there trying to ponder what they're going to buy, knowing that they got to fill their tank up with gas and they've got to pay their bills. We're seeing them not really know what to do. Things are getting so tight and so strict and so worrisome now that they're wringing their hands. I want to be part of the solution. I want to take care of my own and look well to the ways of my household. I hope that I've packed a lunch for my son and that God is able to use what he has to help others. I hope that I've taught the little kids in Sunday school class and even the adults in my class that what I have fed to them through the anointing of the Lord, that they're able to pass on to others. I hope that, and I hope that for you guys too, that you can glean a little bit out of this and that it helps you to think about helping others. I know all of us have said, I'm looking to go out for my family, I'm packing back stuff, and yes, I'm packing back stuff. Now, I don't plan on just dragging it all out and saying have a free-for-all, because I have a responsibility to look well to the ways of my household. But I also want to be a giver. I also want to be one that the Lord can use to meet the needs of others. So, I'm going to close for now, guys. This is Josie. I love you guys. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. Look out for those around you. Encourage them to begin stocking and putting stuff back. You see a bargain and somebody standing next to you, maybe say, hey, look at this. And kind of nudge them a little bit that they might take part in that bargain as well. Till next time, guys. We're gone.